From foe to friend, the fluidity of human connections. Today's enemy is tomorrow's friend. Miyamoto Musashi. This profound observation by the legendary Japanese swordsman Miyamoto Musashi speaks to a fundamental truth about the human condition, that our connections, rivalries, and allegiances are not set in stone. What seems like an unbreachable divide in the present moment can, given time and understanding, transform into a lasting alliance. Imagine a world where yesterday's bitter rivals become tomorrow's closest comrades, their once clashing swords now forged into plowshares. Picture the handshake that once seemed unthinkable, now sealing a hard-won peace. Cast your mind back to a time when lines were sharply drawn, sides firmly entrenched only to dissolve as the fog of war lifted, revealing shared hopes and common ground. This fluidity of relationships is not merely a philosophical musing, but a recurrent pattern woven through the tapestry of history. Take, for instance, the remarkable reconciliation between the United States and Japan in the aftermath of World War II. In the wake of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two nations stood as implacable foes, their conflict marked by unimaginable bloodshed and deep-seated animosity. Yet, in the decades that followed, a transformation occurred that few could have predicted. As the generation that experienced the horrors of war passed, a new era of cooperation and collaboration emerged. Political leaders, business titans, and cultural ambassadors forged connections that would have been unthinkable just years prior. What was once the enemy became a trusted ally, a vital economic partner, and a cherished friend on the global stage. This is not an isolated incident. History is replete with similar examples of erstwhile adversaries finding common ground and forging lasting bonds. Ancient feuding dynasties, such as the Hatfields and McCoys of Appalachia, eventually overcame their differences and united under a shared vision. Even in the realm of geopolitics, we've witnessed the once unimaginable thaw in relations between nations like the United States and Vietnam. Transcending the divide, embracing the impermanence of relationships *. The fluidity of human connections challenges us to reconsider our notions of us and them. It forces us to grapple with the idea that the boundaries we construct, whether between nations, ideologies, or individuals, are often more porous than we imagine. Relationships, like the ebb and flow of tides, are not carved in stone, but rather fluid as a river, shifting course with the changing tides of time, circumstance, and understanding. This impermanence can be unsettling, as it undermines the certainty and comfort of familiar divides. But it also holds the promise of transformation, of new possibilities emerging from the ashes of old enmities. Enmities can melt away like ice in the warm rays of understanding, leaving room for new growth, new connections, and new ways of seeing the world. What would it take for the unthinkable to become the inevitable when it comes to resolving long-standing conflicts? Perhaps it requires a willingness to transcend binary thinking, to embrace nuance and complexity, and to see the humanity in those we once deemed adversaries. It may demand the courage to let go of deeply held grievances, to forgive past transgressions, and to open ourselves to the unexpected. A world beyond us and them, thought experiments in conflict resolution. Consider a hypothetical scenario where a long-standing family feud is finally resolved through the intervention of a younger generation who refuse to be bound by past grievances. Imagine the transformative power of two rival companies, once embroiled in a cutthroat competition, realizing their common interests and merging to become an industry powerhouse. Envision former political adversaries, now elder statesmen, reflecting on how their heated debates ultimately led to productive compromise and shared prosperity for their nation. In such thought experiments, we glimpse a world where the rigid distinctions between us and them begin to dissolve. We see how the impermanence of relationships can create space for empathy, forgiveness, and the forging of unexpected alliances. This is not to suggest that all conflicts can or should be easily resolved. The scars of history often run deep. But by embracing Musashi's wisdom, we open ourselves to the possibility of a more harmonious future, one where today's enemies truly can become tomorrow's friends. Conclusion: Musashi's wisdom for a changing world. Miyamoto Musashi's timeless words resonate with a profound truth about the human experience, that the boundaries we construct, whether personal or geopolitical, are often more fluid than they appear. In an era marked by polarization and entrenched divisions, his insight offers a poignant reminder that the alliances and enmities of today need not define those of tomorrow. By embracing this understanding of the impermanence of relationships, we might find the courage to transcend the binary thinking that so often traps us in cycles of conflict. We may discover new pathways to reconciliation, even in the face of seemingly intractable divides. And in doing so, we just might uncover unexpected common ground, where yesterday's enemies can become tomorrow's friends.